So, for the past couple of weeks, I have been inviting you to peek over my shoulder while I am getting ready to do three different launches, which are happening in about 2 weeks in the second week of January. And the past few weeks, I've kind of shared some tips of things that some actual doing tips. And this week, I want to share something different. It's kind of more of an experience that I've been having as I've been going through this launch. So, when I started doing all of this, I did not really have a plan. It's not as if I sat down at the beginning of the year and I said, I'm going to have these three launches at this time. It sort of just unfolded. And while I guess in theory, I would love to be that person who plans out a year and ahead, and maybe there will be a time that I do, I don't often do that. So this was a situation for me where personally, last year I was a little bit stuck. I had a lot going on the personal front, and I was sort of figuring out where I wanted to take my business professionally, and I wasn't exactly sure. And I had a bunch of ideas swirling around in my head, and I didn't know if any of them were perfect or if any of them were necessarily purposeful, but I got started with them. And so I guess what I want to share now is really the premise that when you take action, action begets action. It's kind of one of my favorite quotes lately that I've been really holding on to. And I guess it's the premise that regardless of what it is that you're moving forth with, whether it's perfect, whether it's purposeful, just do it, because goodness comes from that movement. I think when we're stagnant, when we're not moving, we shut down. So I'm going to share a little bit about the specifics of what happened for me. So at first I started doing these two launches around launching. One is my women's launch playbook, and the other is a program with Tina Forsyth on launch management for online business managers. But the other program that I was really interested in was the Women's Prosperity Summit. And that was really more of a passion-based program that I was feeling really excited to bring out into the world. And I met an amazing woman, and we chose to partner to do it. And we reached out to a bunch of speakers, and we kind of just took a leap. But from that leap, one of the women that I interviewed came to me and said, hey, I want to interview you for my video podcast to give you some extra exposure. And I think what you're talking about is really interesting for my community. So I said, that's great. Didn't really prepare for that interview, and I trusted. I really just trusted that whatever she was going to ask me, I would be okay to answer. And what was amazing is how that interview unfolded. And at the end of that interview, I had this huge aha moment, which is that I am meant to write a book called The Prosperity Effect. Now, I've thought for years that I had a book inside of me, but I didn't really know what the message was or what the title was or what it would be about or anything. And I had this incredible download that it is meant to be about the prosperity effect, which for me is this premise that we have ideas, we take action on our ideas, we make connections around those actions, and then there's this beautiful ripple effect that happens, and that ripple effect is a prosperous ripple effect. And I don't know today if this book will be a parable or a memoir or stories that I collect from others who've had these experiences. I'm sort of still digesting that. Anyway, with that, the friend that interviewed me connected me to someone who has a radio show called Prosperity Radio. She said, Kim, have you ever heard of Ryan Harris? I said, no, I've never heard of him. She said, well, you would be perfect. He's looking for someone to host his show. And based on all the things that I know you're doing, I want to recommend you. I said, that's amazing. I would love that. So immediately I reach out to Ryan, and we speak about what he's looking for. And he's really looking for someone to interview great people around prosperity, which quite honestly, what is more fun than that? So I agreed that I would do that. So I will start out being one of his guest hosts and just see where it goes. I don't really know where it will go, but what I got really excited about was who can I begin to interview? And I thought of a really good friend of mine who's doing a very exciting project going forth into 2014. And I reached out to him and I said, I want to interview you. So that will happen. So I guess the key point of this is that there's not any specific thing that has happened because I took this action, but there's a lot of small steps, a lot of synchronicities that are going on, a lot of movement, a lot of excitement, because I guess I'm just doing something that feels fun, and I'm watching the people that are showing up, and I'm watching the experiences that are showing up. So I guess what I wanted to share with you and suggest for you as we go into this new year, I know often as we do go into a new year, it's all about resolutions and what are the big things I'm going to do and the big plans. And that's fine. And there's a place for that if that works for you. Personally, it's never really worked for me. But on the other side, what small actions can you take? What things can you do that kind of feel just good in the moment? Maybe you don't know where they're going to go, but they just feel really good in the moment and you just want to take movement with them and see where they go. So that's kind of what I want to leave you with. And what I have the feeling I'm going to do, and I'm putting it out there on video right now, is that I'm going to ask you to start sharing what some of those things are, possibly in video form, because I think I'm going to gather that and accumulate that for my new book idea. Just an idea. Anyway, look forward to hearing the things that you're working on, and I will continue to share more with you about the launch. On this page, you can actually find the link to the actual Women's Prosperity Summit, and it's now live. You can join and opt in, and you will find out more details. We're going live on January 10th, and so glad that you're a part of this with me. Take care.